And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Y'all, this one is a good one. Are you sitting down? I hope you are sitting down because this one is going to knock your socks off. So if you want your socks to stay on, just hold on tight to your socks, people. There has been a rash of fraud in Minnesota, in the Minneapolis area, St. Paul, particularly among certain communities. You know who they are. And we have been covering this for many months at this point. In fact, you see the Feeding Your Future fraud that Ilhan Omar promoted. You see that on the screen. We use this footage a lot. But there were many other fraud. And one of those was a Medicaid fraud. Now, one particular person who was convicted, y'all, he was convicted of a $7.2 million Medicaid fraud in Minnesota. He was previously convicted by a jury. After his conviction, the judge has now gone back, reviewed the entire trial. This is not an appeal, people. This is not a higher court. This is the same judge that presided over his trial, has reviewed the trial and said, know what? Nah. According to Minnesota law, we cannot convict him. And she has thrown out the conviction. Now, I'm going to explain this to you here today. And I'm going to tell you exactly why she threw his conviction out. I'm going to tell you what the next steps are. So again, socks will be knocked off. Make sure you're sitting down, y'all. Let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do, y'all, we are launching our official Patreon. So if you want to be a founding member on our Patreon, we have just 222 slots, y'all. If you want to be a founding member, go down, click the very first link in the description, and you're going to feel good about this, y'all, because believe it or not, we are an actual paralegal school, and we help people get their paralegal certificate and get working in the paralegal field. And all of the proceeds from our Patreon, when you enroll as a founding member, all of that is going to go to scholarships for people who would like to study at our institute, y'all. So click that first link down in the description. Join us as a founding member, y'all. This deal will not come back. Now let's get into the story.
A big reversal in a $7.2 million fraud case in Hennepin County. The judge has thrown out the jury's guilty verdict. This is a case Lou Raguse has been following since the beginning. The judge's actions could make it harder to prosecute state fraud cases in the future. Lou?
Julie, it's extremely rare for a judge to reverse a jury's verdict in a criminal case. Jurors I spoke to today told me it was not a difficult decision to find Abdifatah Yusuf guilty in a Medicaid billing scheme, and they're surprised by this development.
At the August trial for Abdifatah Yusuf, the jury heard evidence that he ran his home health care company Promise Health out of a mailbox at a Central Avenue address where multiple other home health care companies were supposedly located. Yusuf and his wife Lol Ahmed were charged with stealing $7.2 million of taxpayer money through Medicaid overbilling in a personal care assistant or PCA scam. The couple allegedly spent tens of thousands of the fraud money on luxury items for themselves. Despite the jury swiftly convicting Yusuf, Judge Sarah West last week decided they got it wrong.
Okay, so we're just about to get into why the judge has thrown out the jury verdict. Again, this is not an appeal. This is not like you see on the movies where you lose at trial court and you say, I want an appeal. No, this is the same trial court judge who just sat through the entire trial, who directed the entire trial, who put this trial into the hands of the jury. She gave the jury the instructions. The jury came back with their verdict for this trial. And after they convicted Mr. Yusuf, the same judge for this trial, not a higher court, the same judge came back and said, you know what? Nah. And she said, Mr. Yusuf, you are not actually guilty. So she took it, put it in the hands of the jury, and then took it back out of the hands of the jury. Now, first, I'm going to let you listen to a lawyer explain a little bit. See, you know, these news reports, they don't go deep, right? But we're going to go a little deeper. First, I'm going to let you listen to a lawyer explain a little bit brief explanation. Then I'm going to put some more details to it so you can understand.
It's reversing or overturning a jury's verdict.
Defense attorney Joe Tamburino, who's not affiliated with this case, reviewed the decision and analyzed it for KARE 11 News. He says Judge West ruled that the state's case relied heavily on circumstantial evidence and that she believed the state did not rule out other reasonable inferences.
That in fact there could have been other reasonable theories other than guilt in this case. That's what it comes down to.
All right, so prepare to have your socks knocked off. So the matter here is that all of the evidence, according to the judge, all of the evidence in this case is circumstantial. So you have Mr. Yusuf's signature was on a piece of paper that was fraudulent. But hold up, I didn't sign that. They signed my signature. Or Mr. Yusuf received millions of dollars in personal benefit. I think he received at least $1 million personally of the 7.2 million fraudulent gains, right? He received money. But hold up, he thought that this business was functioning properly. He wasn't the person running. Yes, he was the owner, but he wasn't running the business. It was his brother who was doing it. His brother didn't tell him about the fraud. So let's talk about different ways, y'all, that the judge says that Mr. Yusuf may have indirectly involved without his own knowledge, even though he was receiving at least $1 million worth of gain. So first of all, his brother, Muhammad Yusuf, so Abdi Yusuf is the person who was convicted. His brother, Muhammad, he was the one who controlled the operations and the fraud. And he didn't tell Abdi. He told Abdi everything was going just fine. So Abdi didn't know. Just because Abdi's name, this is number two, just because Abdi's name was on documents doesn't mean that Abdi even knew his name was on documents. Abdi was out spending his $1 million that his brother gave him. He didn't know that they were falsifying his signature. Just because Abdi, this is number three, just because Abdi's the owner and profited doesn't mean that he had any criminal intent. He left this business in the hands of his broham. His broham was doing all the fraud. Yeah, he kicked Abdi some money because Abdi expected to get paid from legitimate business, not from fraud. So you see how this is going, right? So basically, Abdi, the person who is now off the hook because the judge has ruled that he's not guilty, his entire defense, after he's convicted, his entire defense, he's still defending himself, and the judge agrees with him. He's like, look, everything that the prosecution presented about me at trial, yeah, all of that stuff is true, but I didn't have anything to do with any of that. I didn't have any criminal intent in this. I had a business. I let my brother run it. He ran it in a fraudulent manner. I thought everything was good. I expected there to be profit because it's a business. He gave me profit, in which I would expect from a legitimate business. He's kicking me my munagi. Everything's good. Next thing you know, y'all hit me up with this whole fraud scheme thing. I had nothing to do with that. The judge bought it. Y'all, and she let him off the hook.
Despite the ruling, even Judge West wrote that she is troubled by the manner in which fraud was able to be perpetuated at Promise Health.
I was stunned.
State Representative Kristen Robbins, chair of the House Fraud Prevention and State Oversight Committee, says she's now reviewing if any state laws need to be tightened.
We want to strengthen state law so that we can get prosecutions out of these cases, because clearly a jury thought he was guilty.
So here you hear the lawmakers saying they need to change the law because the judge is applying a law, a legal standard, if you will, that says that if someone is convicted using circumstantial evidence, and there are other plausible explanations for why that circumstantial evidence would exist, then they can't be convicted, or you must overturn the conviction, if you will. Okay? So in this case, all of those reasons and more, they all come together to say, Abdi, there's some other innocent explanations for why Abdi was getting that milli. Okay?
Jurors in the case can't believe the decision.
I am shocked. I'm shocked based off of all of the evidence that was presented to us and the obvious guilt that we saw based off of the said evidence. It was not a difficult decision whatsoever. The deliberation took probably 4 hours at most. Based off of the state's evidence that was presented, I was beyond a reasonable doubt.
So y'all, this whole thing is not saying the fraud did not occur. This is saying, did Abdi have a criminal intent with the fraud? Okay. So that's the bottom line with this case. The fraud did occur. Was it Muhammad who did it with Abdi's permission and knowledge, or did Muhammad do it without Abdi's consent? The judge just said it's possible that Abdi did not consent, and therefore we have to overturn this conviction. The government is going to be appealing this overturning to the appeals court. So they want the appeal court to overturn the overturning. So convicted, judge overturns, saying, hey, there are other plausible, this is all circumstantial evidence. There are other plausible explanations. So I'm going to overturn it. And now the government's appealing the overturning to overturn the overturning. Okay? Woo!
The attorney for Mr. Yusuf, Ian Burrell, sent me a statement today that says, in part, Judge West's ruling affirms what we have maintained from the beginning, that our client, Mr. Yusuf, was wrongfully accused and did not commit fraud or racketeering. The Attorney General's office filed an appeal this afternoon, so the Minnesota Court of Appeals will take a second look at this decision. Julie.
So, Lou, did Mr. Tamburino, did he have any kind of emotional reaction? And this is pretty stunning. This does not happen.
Yeah, he leaned towards the idea that this was kind of a one-off and that it would have a good chance at appeal. But the worry is that there's so many other cases just like it where somebody's in the exact same position as Mr. Yusuf but is charged with fraud. And if the judge can determine that maybe they didn't know that the fraud was going on underneath them in the case, then other judges could throw it out just like this one.
All right. Do you know how quickly the Court of Appeals would take this up? Any idea?
Probably months.
All right. Thank you, Lou.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, y'all, with these things, the plot does thicken. This is so, don't y'all love this though? Not what's happening, but just the law. If y'all are watching this channel, I try to bring, you know how long it took me to find these court documents today? I was looking for about 45 minutes. I looked everywhere and then finally found these documents by a fluke for you. Okay. Just to look further into it and to get more. I didn't want to read from it. It's 55 pages, but to go deeper into the legal reasoning of the judge took me quite a while, y'all. Let me know, what do you think? I mean, I'll be honest, y'all. I could see something like this happening. I really could. I could see it. I could really see having a business, your boy, your brother, your cousin, somebody starts doing fraud. You getting kicked some money, you getting a lot of money. You might even think, man, I don't know what they doing over there, but I'm not going to ask any questions. They sending you $1 million and you just like, yo, keep the money coming. Hope y'all not doing anything wrong over there. They like, man, you know, we everything above board. All right, keep it going. I can see it. I can really see it. So I'm not saying I'm taking anybody's side, but I can certainly see it. I can see it happening. Y'all, let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below, but before you do, please stop, hit the share button, share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all your favorite social mediums. And if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. Y'all check out our Patreon. It's the first link down in the description. We certainly do appreciate any additional support from our people. Love you, and we'll see you back in the next one.